Welcome to the Collaborative Rabbit Hole Podcast. I'm Luke.
And I'm Brandon.
We're two cousins who enjoy asking the deep questions of life.
With topics ranging from faith and theology to history, philosophy, culture, and humor.
But we explore every rabbit hole along the way.
And drive each other deeper and deeper down.
Our goal is simple, to be mildly informative and wildly entertaining.
So, pull up a chair.
Buckle up.
Please keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times.
And let's see where today's rabbit trail leads.
Jinx.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Oh, there's the button I was looking for earlier.
Which one?
The pause recording button, instead of just having to stop the recording and start over.
A useful feature.
What?
A useful feature.
Yes. Why are you talking like that?
I'm quoting Edna Mode from The Incredibles.
Okay then. So you want to talk about COVID?
Yeah.
What made you think of this as a podcast topic?
Well, I had this idea a while back of what are some good things that came out of the pandemic, because we've definitely talked about the rough parts of the pandemic, but how often do we think about the good things that have happened? Like, I guess I should save my thoughts until later on in the podcast. Okay, I'll tell you
Because
later.
let's not just talk about the good, let's talk about all of it.
All of it.
So what do you remember, like, leading up to COVID?
I remember seeing an article that said that in China 1,000 people had died, and I was like, okay, this is pretty rough. This is serious. This is bad. And then there was a future article talking about how the pandemic had spread to other countries like India and Japan and the Koreas, and I was like, wow, this is going to hit us. And then, of course, it started going to other countries, and it started reaching the United States, and I was like, yep, it's getting us.
Yeah, so I remember seeing the articles about it in December of 2019, and then as a EMT licensed in Arkansas, I was getting regular updates about it from the Arkansas Department of Health.
You got more updates than I did.
Yes. I wasn't reading most of it, but I was getting, I think, like twice monthly updates.
Mhm.
As early as December of 2019, talking about China, but then also it started gradually, like, here's what we need to do if it starts moving here and things like that. And I remember we had a big family get together eating out early 2020, and I was sitting next to Uncle Robbie, and we were, of all places, at Cracker Barrel. And I was sitting next to Uncle Robbie, and he was asking me what I thought about this pandemic stuff. And I told him about some of the updates I had read from the Arkansas Department of Health. Then he's saying that he's hearing rumors that there's going to be a toilet paper shortage and all this stuff. I'm like, that's not true. Nobody's going to be, like, forced to stay home. There's not going to be a toilet paper shortage. And
2 months later.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think part of the toilet paper shortage was people saying there was going to be a toilet paper shortage. So everybody started hoarding it, and then that caused the toilet paper shortage.
Yeah.
I think everyone would have been fine had we not panicked and bought all the toilet paper.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember that conversation. That might have been February, but I think it was more like January 2020 when we had talked about that. And then come March, we start hearing about it getting closer, and I remember I wore a mask to church on a Wednesday night. This was in DeKalb, and somebody there commented asking if I was planning to rob them or something.
What?
Because I was wearing a mask.
A medical mask?
Yes.
Okay, we've had medical masks before the pandemic.
Not commonly, though.
Ah.
But yeah, I was getting picked on for wearing a mask before the masks were even popular.
Was it one of those cloth masks or one of those, like,
No,
heavy-duty
this was
medical
before they
masks?
had the cloth masks. This was like
Yeah.
an actual medical mask.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we ended up coming up with do you remember it?
Our survival plan?
Our shopping list.
Our shopping list.
Huge shopping list. And it was more a joke, but we still bought it all anyway. We called it our panic-demic shopping list.
Oh, okay.
And we went to Spring Market
We bought a lot.
and filled up the shopping cart. And I think it was Seth that was checking us out that day. And so that was a fun conversation.
Oh, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, and I do remember that. And then, like, the next week, I don't remember who went to their parents' house first.
Okay. So,
I think it was you.
so I will say this. I think it was you, and let me explain. So, I was presuming at some point I would probably be with my folks, but I hadn't made any plans. And so you'd asked me if I was going to stay with my parents or something, and I said I was probably going to go with them. And that,
Yeah, I think it was me because I was getting worried that we were going to be forced to stay in one place.
Mhm.
And I wanted to be with more people
right.
rather than just one.
Mhm.
And my sister was in town. Your sister was either in town or coming.
She came later.
She came later. And so that was kind of our thinking there.
Yeah. And after I told you I was probably going to head out, I gave the impression, oh no, my roommate's going to abandon me. And you didn't want to be left alone, so you told your parents about this, and they were like, well, you could come with us. And so then you moved in with your parents.
Okay.
And I felt abandoned, even though I had caused the situation without realizing it. And so then I was at the house for maybe a week or two, and I got pretty lonely. I pretty much invited myself over to my parents' house, and I moved in with my folks for at least 2 or 3 months at
Yeah,
that point.
so I stayed at my parents' house for 2 months.
Yeah.
Like exactly 8 weeks, which while I was there, it was, I was preaching, and I'd been preaching for 2 different congregations, both mostly older. I was working with other preachers there, also older,
Mhm.
not technologically savvy.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of on me to record sermons and publish to Facebook or YouTube and then Facebook and share those with the congregation. And I was doing 4 lessons a week.
Mhm.
I was giving them, no, or 3 lessons a week, I think. I think I was doing a sermon on Sunday morning, a sermon on Sunday night, and another study on Wednesday night for them.
Wow.
I'm just trying to keep up the routine that they're used to.
Mhm.
And that was kind of what made me realize that, I want to do full-time preaching. Because I was able to keep up with that kind of a schedule, because both churches I was with, they stopped having services shortly after I had moved with my parents.
Mhm.
And then I remember for Sundays, our family would get together that morning in the living room, put a service up on the TV, usually from somewhere else. My parents asked why they couldn't watch my lessons, and I was like, you can, but I want to watch somebody that's not me.
Yeah.
And so we would watch somewhere else, and usually like Walnut,
Mhm.
sometimes West Side. One thing about Walnut, Patrick did those talks, and he usually gave something brief, but he would usually have something to pause and discuss this with your family. Here's something to discuss, and we never would pause it. We never discussed. We just left it running, and
Yeah.
which he paused for several seconds, and so we had this awkward silence for several seconds in which we're laughing and not sharing and not answering. I made homemade communion bread for us, and so we still did communion, and of course we had some grape juice. So yeah, that was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
And then we would cook a little bit, but we also ordered takeout from a lot of places, lots of baking, brownies, cookies, things like that. Board games kept us occupied. I still did a lot of my tutoring just on Zoom, which I guess that's one of the good things that came out of COVID is Zoom.
Yeah.
Because before that, I knew about Skype, but Zoom has so many more features and became really useful for tutoring. And that was especially needed then because the kids weren't in school. They needed tutors to help explain stuff to them because the teachers were just trying to manage so many students on Zoom.
Yeah.
And that one-on-one time really helped, I think.
Yeah.
So tell us about your COVID experience.
Okay. So my job at the bank was, I was declared an essential worker, so I still got to go to the bank and work with them.
Which I think that was another reason I had gone with my parents, was because even if I had stayed with you, I still would have been by myself almost all day every day.
Yeah.
Which I probably would have just slept all day and then stayed up all night, but you would have had to sleep so that you could go to work, and we'd have been on different schedules anyway.
Gotcha.
And so even if we had both stayed living there, it would have been very lonely for me not leaving the house.
Gotcha.
So that was one reason I had gone on to my parents.
Okay. I didn't know this reason. That's interesting. Okay, so my department, loan services, loan operations, whatever you want to call it, we were split up among different branches. And so we would send different loan packages to each other via the courier. Or also we had to print out some documents, like scan them to our shared system and print them out and then work on them. So it made our processes longer. But anyway, I was one of the people who stayed at our current branch in DCAB. When we were at our desks, like we wouldn't have to wear masks, but if we were walking around the branch or visiting each other, we were supposed to wear our masks for that. The bank did provide like sandwich fixings for us, so we wouldn't have to leave. We could eat lunch there. I did that a few times. I remember for church, there was at least one Sunday where I drove to DCAB and our preacher there was offering communion to whoever wanted to take it, so I took communion there with him. Now, I ended up moving in with my parents for 2 or 3 months. A bit of a longer drive, but since I was with people, that helped my mental health a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after I arrived, Jennifer drove in from New Mexico, and she was able to work remotely. And so the 4 of us were living together just like we had been before both of us went off to college. Let's see, how did I keep myself occupied?
Work.
Work in the daytime. I was watching video game playthroughs. Like there was this YouTuber, the Rad Brad. He was playing through a game called Death Stranding. It's a game where it's like you're essentially you're a delivery man in the apocalypse, and you're delivering to different people in bunkers. And so it was oddly fitting for the pandemic we were in, where everybody was socially isolated and couldn't go out too much. So I was watching him play through this game, so that was interesting. I had a couple of friends I would do video chats with at least once every week or so that helped me as well to get through it. Let's see, things did start to open up again. We were able to start going to church. But yeah, during the pandemic, we would watch church from, say, Walnut and sometimes West Side.
And you watched some of mine.
And we watched some of yours as well. I know
And then you watched some of Jennifer's preacher, too.
I think that sounds right. I remember there was one Sunday morning. It's like we were generally getting dressed up a little nicer for church, home church. There was one Sunday morning I kept my pajamas on, so I just had a tank top and shorts and my Snuggie wrapped around me. I felt very awkward doing that, and I decided not to do that anymore and to dress up nicely whenever we did home church after that. So that was an interesting experience. Eventually we did move back to the house. You know, I was back in DCAB.
Well, so let me go back, because I thought of a couple more things. Okay. Since I was doing my sermons on YouTube, some Christians in Uganda that one of my congregations supported, they found my videos and they were watching online, because people here complain about not having the freedom to go to church. Well, in Uganda, they had people with guns keeping them from going to church.
Yeah.
And so they watched my lessons online, and I connected with a lot of the Christians there, several preachers from there. And so that was interesting to be able to talk to them and hear about how things were going there. And then that was also my first semester of my first master's degree, which was all online. And so COVID didn't throw off anything with that. And that was something that kept me occupied too while I was home all the time.
Yeah.
But I remember one of my classes was a leadership class, and there was an assignment where you're supposed to interview someone from another culture. And well, I've connected with these people from Uganda, and so I was able to interview one of those preachers and use him for that assignment.
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting. And then, like I said earlier, I stayed there for about 8 weeks, and then I don't remember what it was that made me want to go back. I mean, I'd thought about it a couple of different times, but there was just one night, a Friday night, when I was so upset about something, probably something my sister said, I think it was. I knew that everyone would be out of the house on Saturday morning, so I woke up Saturday morning, packed up all my stuff, and just left without them knowing that I was leaving.
Wow.
But it was also during some pretty severe storms.
Oh.
Or at least the storms were hitting on my way back to DCAB. Like I stopped in Hooks at the church building to pick up my paycheck, and I noticed it was getting a little scary looking, starting to rain a little bit. So I checked the weather and it was getting bad, but I'm halfway between one place and the other. I've got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I start driving home to DCAB, and like a mile before the exit on the interstate, I look over to my right and there is a funnel cloud.
Oh.
and that freaked me out. And y'all's house was actually fairly close by. So I ended up just going to y'all's house, and y'all had that storm shelter in that house too.
Yeah.
Turns out the funnel cloud, the storms were moving the other direction. There was a tornado out of that one though, just like less than 60 miles from where we were. But yeah, I ended up spending the day at y'all's house and getting to see you and Jennifer and your parents, and we watched TV and played some games, I think. But yeah, that was me headed back from COVID. And then I got back to the house. You didn't come immediately. I stayed there for 2 or 3 weeks by myself.
Oh.
Then at that point.
You lasted longer than me.
Yeah, but I think I had been so tired of being with people, I needed a few weeks to myself.
Okay, that's fair.
But I was also getting tired. I think I begged you to come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't quite remember, but that sounds right.
I mean, it may not have been dramatic, but
Yeah.
it may not have been obvious that I was begging, but I was begging.
Okay.
I was lonely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I came back.
And that was about when things started getting back to normal. They started having church services again and opening things up a little bit more.
I started going to evening services, well, maybe church in general in New Boston, because I had a friend over there. One thing I do kind of regret, okay, so I wore a mask to services, which I don't regret, but there were times, okay, the preacher's wife is deaf, so she has to lip read, and there was a time or two when I wore my mask, when I tried talking with her, and I realized, oh, she can't understand what I'm saying. Oh. So I should have at least let her see my mouth when I spoke a time or two. Those things you realize in 2020 hindsight. Yeah.
Pun intended. Own it, Brandon.
2020.
Oh, you didn't even know.
Oh, pun unintended. Okay, good catch. Very good catch. So, yeah, there was that. I know that we lived together until you got the job in Missouri, right?
Yeah, no, the one in Arkansas.
Arkansas, that's right.
So that was still another 8 months after we
Okay.
got back from COVID. Like May until March, I think.
Okay.
10 months.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Eventually, both of our home churches started doing services again, so we went back to our home churches. I know after you moved out, I was home alone for a little while, and then a friend asked, "Hey, I've got this cat."
We know this story.
Can
we
I s-
have told it on the podcast before.
I babysat a cat, and while I was living by myself, and okay, I bring this up
Replaced me with a cat.
not on purpose. But anyway, after I was living alone and I had the cat, I ended up developing COVID.
So glad I wasn't there.
Yeah, I ended up isolating for 1 or 2 weeks, besides doctor's visits. My mom dropped off some supplies for me. It was really hard for her to see me alone with she came to visit, dropped off the supplies, and she did cry outside. I felt bad for her. I had my cat, so I wasn't too lonely and stuff, and she made for a great cuddle buddy, I mostly just watched YouTube videos. Since some of my symptoms, I felt feverish, like my head and my neck were burning up, but the rest of my body, I felt cold flashes, like I was freezing. So, I was wrapped up in my PJs and my
That
Snuggie.
would be chills.
Chills. I got the chills. Thank you.
Cold flashes.
Not a hot flash. It's a cold flash. And so there was a time or two when I would go walking outside in the heat and I could finally feel comfortable because it's like, okay, I no longer feel chills. I'm in a warm place. So that was lovely. But yeah, I was eventually able to come back to work. Well, anyway, the rest is history. I don't know what else to say.
Okay.
Our office, I will say, during the pandemic, okay, I had a thought. The office, they decided so they built a new branch to put our whole department in. And so we got to reunite the department in the new building. So they moved us from DeKalb to Texarkana. We ended up reuniting. I was commuting to Texarkana after that. And it was during that time that I ended up with COVID. So just another thing to share.
So how do you think the world has changed since COVID?
We had several businesses closed down.
You need closer to the mic.
We had several businesses closed down. Like there was this one family-run restaurant/general store. It was in Arkansas between Texarkana and Searcy. I know they'd been open for many years and they had to close.
Oh, the Brown's cafeteria.
Maybe. It was this large wooden building, I think. Yeah. Let's see. The one thing I notice is that when people are standing in line, we're no longer standing like back to back. Front It's about, we give each other space now. And honestly, that one difference is the whole reason we're doing this episode. Because there are some times when I'm in public and we're standing in line and we stand with space between each other, and I'm just like, oh, this is actually pretty nice that we have space now. This is one of the good things that came out of COVID. I'm kind of glad we do this now.
Yeah, so like at the pharmacy, they have that sign, stand back here for patient privacy. I feel like nobody ever used to actually respect that. They're always trying to get up closer, and now people actually stand back and then space out. Not
Gotcha.
the full 6 feet, but they still give more space.
Right.
Yeah, I have noticed that.
Yeah.
I think the world has changed in a lot of ways since COVID and because of COVID.
Mhm.
But I also think a lot of people will acknowledge that, the new normal idea,
Mhm.
especially. But I think it's harder to articulate exactly how it's changed.
Yeah.
Because it's also like it's changed so much, but we had that period in between of being at home
Mhm.
that makes it difficult to distinguish before to after.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's hard to just put my finger on like exactly what changes are.
Hmm.
And at this point, we're like, I mean, it's 6 years later. We're used to the changes by now.
Right.
The new normal has just become normal to us now.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to compare the new normal to the old normal.
Yeah. I will say there are more opportunities for work from home,
Yes.
and Zoom and Skype and those, well, especially like Zoom is much more popular today than it ever was before. So yeah, there are more remote work options. I know.
Well, so does that go to like the question you started with? What are some of the good things that came from COVID?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so many people have had opportunities where they can work from home and spend more time with their
Mhm.
families, whether changing their current position or with new positions coming because of it. I don't know any exact statistics on it, but I know that many positions changed to part-time or full-time work from home.
And I think along with that, I know I mentioned Zoom earlier, but just
Mhm.
I think there's been a lot of technological improvements to enable that.
Yeah.
And to help with remote work and connect people from different places,
Right.
and even to do our podcast.
Right. Podcasts were popular back then, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, even more so, like the editing software I had been using was like from 2018, and I was getting frustrated with it last night and started looking for other options, and I found a free option that's better, that's still more advanced than what we had in 2018, because they've just been making all those improvements.
Mm.
And it's not necessarily because of podcasts, but it certainly helps us.
Yeah, they had a lot more people using it, and they had a lot more feedback, I presume.
Yeah, and then they've made more tools available for jobs and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
What else would you say is good that came from COVID?
I remember they had some articles back in the day about wildlife coming into areas where they hadn't been seen in a long time. Like, at least there was a park in Singapore where there were otters on the riverbanks now. It's like they hadn't been seen in a long time. I don't know how many of these animal-related changes continued, or how many, like when people went back to the areas, how many of the animals left again, but I presume...
And how many people would agree that they're good?
Indeed.
Bears coming into populated areas, which I've been hearing a lot of in the last few years, is not a good thing.
That does lead to some issues, yeah. So anyway, good for the animals. Well, until the humans come back, we're not so sure. But there could be some instances where things were good, either temporarily or good long-term changes. Do you have anything?
I think being apart gave everybody a greater appreciation for being together. Just something that we had taken for granted.
Yeah.
Especially in the church, fellowship is a really important value and a powerful motivator. And so we've seen that get stronger.
Yeah.
And we had to be more intentional about serving people.
Yeah.
Checking in on people, making sure they're okay. And I think that has carried over into post-COVID now, those same habits of checking on people, sending cards, calling just to talk and things like that.
Yeah.
Did you have anything good to add before we move on a little bit?
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay, so we've lost a lot of church members.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that, stayed home because of COVID never came back.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are coming... And this is where it gets positive. The people who are coming genuinely want to be here.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a habit that they had been, but that they actually enjoy the fellowship with other people.
Yeah.
And want to be a part of the community. And so that's been good. It's sad that we've lost so many people, and I would love for them to come back.
Mhm.
But it is reassuring about the people who are here, how much they really care about each other.
Mhm.
But then as far as losing people, that's also made certain difficulties in getting people to attend and participate and all of that.
Yeah.
The people who are here, yeah, absolutely, but evangelism, outreach, service, a lot of those things are more difficult, and nothing really seems to work anymore. And so that can be discouraging too. What can we do to reach people and actually bring them in?
Right.
Because sure, there are ways to help them, but and we want to do that, but also we want them to come. We want them to have a relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just aren't open to that or to anything that would lead to that.
Right.
And so there are several challenges there.
Mhm.
So what would you say are some of the challenges after COVID?
Challenges. Let's see. It's more challenging to get people to get vaccinated.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing for sure. Not even just vaccines, but there's been so much, I guess not just challenges, but bad things about COVID. Aside from the obvious, people getting sick and dying itself, aside from that, there's been so much division over the disease itself.
Yeah.
And then I think that has led to further political division because people disagree on how to approach it. And well, if we're going to argue over something as little as that, let's argue over literally everything else.
Yeah. Like I remember during the pandemic, one Facebook friend had posted something about, people being upset about you not about if you're not social distancing, they're upset that you're showing courage or whatever. And I was reading that thinking, well, we're trying to save lives here. We're trying not to unalive people. And can I say the K word or?
I don't know.
Okay. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of where we are on the political spectrum, even then, having differences with that on whether it's good or not to social distance or to isolate. Yeah, it's like we just had so many differences on, oh, it's being brave, or oh, it's being a sheep, or oh, it's doing what's right, or oh, it's saving lives, stuff like that.
Closer to the mic.
Closer, okay. And yeah, it's just different ways of trying to handle this, I guess, to process what's going on and to try to help people, and different opinions on how dangerous it really was. And there were COVID deniers, people thinking, no, this isn't a real thing.
Yeah, and, I even saw the argument about, like Matthew 22, when Jesus is asked, what is the greatest command? And Jesus says, first, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength.
Yeah.
And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, to clarify, there's one side that's saying, well, social distancing, wearing a mask, things like that is what you do to love your neighbor.
Yeah.
There's the other side that's saying, well, love God comes before love neighbor. And so church needs to be a priority over protecting your neighbor from illness.
If I may, this reminds me of something.
Okay.
When Jesus was speaking to the Pharisees, didn't he talk about giving, like when, I guess, your parents or somebody is in need, but the Pharisees choosing to give money to God first?
So that's exactly where I'm going with this.
Okay.
And I wonder if I've talked to you about this before.
I don't know.
Actually, because I've used that exact passage.
I don't know.
Yeah, a couple of things. First, Jesus is not saying love the Lord your God is number one, and then number two is love your neighbor as yourself. He's not ranking them. He's saying that these two together are the greatest command. And in fact, I think the Bible's all the way across the room, but
Bible time.
My headphones were falling off. I'll use my app. 1 John chapter 4 and verse 20. Whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen. And so that suggests that love for neighbor and love for God go hand in hand. You're not really showing your love for God if you're not showing your love for your brother and sister.
Yeah.
And so we shouldn't be separating those two commands, but we should view them together.
Mhm.
And so I don't necessarily agree with that reasoning that people were using.
Mhm.
But yeah, so working on my Master of Divinity a couple of years ago, I was taking a class on the Gospels, and we had to pick a passage from one of the Gospels. And I don't remember exactly what the assignment was, but I took that passage from Matthew 15 and applied it to COVID, or the church's response to COVID.
Yeah.
Which is fitting on multiple levels, because for one, it is talking about like purity laws.
Mhm.
Like, why are your disciples not washing their hands before they eat? And Jesus's point is, it's not what goes into the mouth, but what comes out of the mouth that makes a person unclean.
Right.
And so, I mean, there is that aspect of like related to COVID. Like this is about cleanliness and purity in a sense, protecting people from germs. But yeah, he uses the example where the Pharisees are withholding gifts from their parents in order to give those things to God.
Mhm.
And Jesus is saying, you're claiming to honor God, but that doesn't exempt you from honoring your parents.
Yeah.
Honor God by obeying him and honoring your parents.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of his point there. And so I would apply that to the greatest command, where people distinguish between the two.
Yeah.
But no, according to 1 John, loving your brother is a way of loving God.
Yeah.
I wouldn't distinguish between the two.
Yeah. I guess to be honest, I always had distinguished between the two, but I did see them as like the two most important commandments, but at the same time, loving your neighbor was how you show love to God as well.
Well, Jesus even says, on these two commands, all the law and the prophets hang.
Mhm.
It's not on either one of them individually, but those two together
Yeah.
sum up the entire law and prophets.
Okay.
And so I don't separate them or rank them.
Mhm.
I think they belong together.
Yeah.
So then I applied that to COVID. I didn't give a direct answer for COVID. I just said, we shouldn't be using that logic,
Mhm.
trying to say one instruction outranks another.
Yeah.
But
Did you get any backlash preaching about or speaking about the church's response to COVID?
I wasn't preaching about it. This was a research paper.
Oh, okay.
But I said, like, we can't have this set way of defining what loving God and loving neighbor looks like.
Mhm.
In the case of COVID, we need to find a balance of what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
And so I applied like Romans 14, matters of opinion, disputable matters. Some people think this, some people think that. Don't go against your own conscience.
Yeah.
But also don't like intentionally cause someone else to be offended.
Yeah.
Where we just need to find that balance, and every congregation can decide for themselves what the balance looks like.
Mhm.
We shouldn't be forcing one set way on everybody else.
Mhm.
And my professor really appreciated that point of view,
Mhm.
and how I had applied that specific passage
Yeah.
from Matthew 15. So go ahead.
This reminds me of, wasn't it in Romans when Paul was writing about to those who eat meat, those who don't eat meat, don't hold it against those who do, and those who do eat meat, don't hold it against those who don't. It's like to each is serving their master or something.
Would you like to know why it reminds you of that?
Why?
Because that's the exact passage I was talking about.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually a verse at the end of Romans 14 that Romans 14 and verse 20, do not destroy the work of God for the sake of food. But you could also say, or masks. And you could add a lot of other things in there too. Chairs versus pews, the order of worship. Those are things that a lot of people will want to stand their ground on and fight over, and don't destroy the work of God over things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Serving communion with one cup versus multiple cups.
Yeah. Although, speaking of that and COVID.
Oh, when they had to switch to those little throwaway cups. And
Oh, no, I'm talking about the one cuppers.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, they continued the one cup.
Oh.
But I heard, and I will say I did not speak to any of them directly, but I heard from people who had spoken to them encouraging them not to be drinking from the same cup.
Mhm.
But they believed that they were divinely protected from germs
Okay.
while drinking from the one cup of the Lord's Supper.
Do we have any evidence as to what happened?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
I assume they got sick, but I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, I would have been concerned myself.
But even before COVID, so fun story, we have a mutual friend. And actually, I didn't hear this story from him. I heard it from somebody else, so I don't know if it's true or not.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to say his name, but he visited a one-cup church once and decided to sit on the front row so that he could be the first to drink from the cup.
Huh.
And then they started at the back.
Oh.
And
twist.
he ended up being last.
Surprise!
The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Yeah.
Well, I guess he had a lot more faith in God after that one, or during that one. Protect me from this.
Yeah. Build a hedge of protection around me.
It's like that Tim Hawkins routine. A hedge. A hedge? No offense, is that the best you can do? How about a wall? How about a cement wall? Put some barbed wire on top of that bad boy.
Any parting thoughts?
COVID was a rough time, and I'm thankful we got through it. What about you?
That's why I asked you. I didn't have any.
Oh, okay. That was a rough time, and things did change. Some things went back to normal, other things didn't. What do you guys think? Were there any big changes, whether good or bad, or what changes did you experience? Let us know in the comments.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, please like, subscribe, and leave a review. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, where the conversation never ends. Thanks for listening.